Now, Police Minister Bheki Cele says South Africa and Mozambique must work together to combat cross-border crime. He was speaking in Maputo during a Mozambique-South Africa bilateral meeting on challenges that need to be tackled. The Mozambique Police and the South African Police Service are both signatories to a joint action plan with a goal to address transnational crime in their countries and across the region. Now, the joint action plan aims to ensure that officials from both countries meet on a regular basis to conduct joint border operations to deal with common crime challenges. These include crimes such as vehicle theft, drug trafficking and kidnappings.
To conduct an oversight and assessment of the action plan that has been crafted together by senior officials during the 8th February 2023 meeting that took place in Cape Town. We are also here to see whether or not there are any other new approaches that can be explored in addressing common challenges in the area of policy. And indeed, there should be new approaches. We can't be stagnant when criminals are walking forward. We know and appreciate that there are key deliverables that this meeting rests on.
Right, let's bring in Professor Kholofelo Rakubu from the Tshwane University of Technology Department of Safety and Security Management to expand on some of these pointers. A very good evening to you, Professor. Thank you so much for your time. Police Minister Bheki Cele saying that South Africa and Mozambique need to work together to combat cross-border crime. This, of course, paints a picture of the severity of these crimes. What scale are they operating at?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. From what we've observed, the cross-border crimes have been with us for quite some time. And to hear the minister talking of a joint action plan, you wonder what has been in place previously for them to now revisit the joint plan or to talk about the joint plan, because this has been with us. It has been a problem for quite some time. And again, this shows that both countries have identified issues from both sides. But can I deliberate on South African efforts? Indeed, for quite some time, and all previous ministers have been trying to tackle this issue. And the issue of resources, coming up with new forces, unit and dedicated resources, talking about specialized unit to muscle up the prevention and control and all that. Then you always wonder, with all these pledges and resources that have been utilized around this, what is it that Mozambique has been doing? Because we always want to understand, for us to win this, since it affects both countries, it looks like one country has to do 90% and the other 10%. And we always question, why is it that Mozambique is a target? Obviously, an offender or a syndicate has studied Mozambican dynamics that will make it difficult for this problem to go away. One of them being what? Poor collaboration from Mozambique's side. What is it that Mozambique has done? Because it looks like South Africa has to block. The minute it gets to Mozambique, it's business as usual, particularly with car theft, particularly with any smuggling of goods and services into Mozambique. We have to, as South Africa, if we check off the expenses that comes with what? Securing that Mozambique-South African border, it's a lot of money, because in addition to the primary border protection tasking of ensuring territorial sovereignty by stopping illegal immigration, our soldiers, South African soldiers, are utilizing our resources to do what? To deal with Mozambican-related challenges. So isn't it high time that now Mozambique sits and plan thoroughly? Otherwise, at some point, relations will collapse, because it looks like South Africa has to do more for Mozambique. What is it that Mozambique is doing so that this strategies can complement each other. We appreciate that they had a meeting. Can they now look at all meetings that they had before and check and tick checks and balances with regard to what was planned, what worked, and what did not work? Because now, with the minister talking about a joint action plan, that has been there. Call for collaboration has been there. Coordinated effort call has been there. What has been different? So as we analyze South African responses mechanisms, remember there was a construction of a solid concrete fence on the border of South Africa and Mozambique.
Yes.
Now, when you look at that strategy, that did not have crime displacement in mind. When you build a concrete wall, fence in particular, obviously there will be tactical displacement, there will be territorial displacement, there will be a temporal displacement, because this syndicate will find other routes to get into Mozambique, because it's easier to get into Mozambique. So whatever plan they bring on board must have all the crime diffusion understanding, must have crime displacement understanding, that when you move A, they will now go to B. Due to what? This is a lucrative market. We are dealing with a serious market that is flourishing.
Yeah. As you talk about some of those concerns, the expenses for one, as well as questioning the effectiveness of that wall, and whether or not the police and security can remain thinking ahead of what the criminals may be looking at doing in terms of strategy. What sort of message do you think that this partnership will now begin to send between the two countries? Do you think that it will serve to deter them, or will they keep getting smarter? Because it really, for one, shows that something is being done to try and stop the level of this crime, because the modus operandi we've seen, especially around the hijackings and the kind of vehicles that are crossing over.
What we tapping into is obviously this joint action plan call or talks. Now they talk of the necessity for buy-in and commitment of all stakeholders, both Moz and South Africa. And now the effectiveness or necessity for information sharing. However, the offender or the syndicates are aware of the loopholes or issues surrounding the effectiveness of our action plans, right? Because we still have issues with internal corruption. There are certain law enforcers that are sitting on certain critical meetings that are part or benefiting from this organized crime, right? And two, the minute we're saying we are still trying to procure or to work around porous borders, then we are telling them that as now we're coming with this BMA in place, right? Yeah. They are looking at something else. So that is why we need to be innovative. That is why we need to now move with the fourth IR. That is why now we need to highly utilize advanced technology. That is why we have to extensively, decisively deal with corruption, because like I always say, it's political. We can be talking about this only to realize that certain officers do benefit from all of this. So our planning should be at least 10 steps ahead from the offenders or syndicate. However, that is going to be difficult because we work with them, we plan with them. So now the perpetrator will always find a suitable target and the absence of a capable guardian, because they now understand lack of resources, issues of manpower from Mozambique side. Now they also understand issues of corruption from South African side, issues of politics and all that from the South African side. So all those will make it difficult to do what? To deal with cross-border crime or transnational crime at the moment. Mozambique has been a problem for quite some time. If South Africa indeed wanted to deal with Mozambique, South African border, it would have been dealt with long time ago.
Very well. Thank you so much for your insight and weighing in on this conversation. Professor Kholofelo Rakubu from the Tshwane University of Technology Department of Safety and Security Management, joining us there to bring us some reaction to this latest development.